Hello everyone! For this class it's going to be a core strengthening flow with some resting postures in between. We're starting off at the back of our mat in Tadasana, mountain pose. Hands by our side, taking in a few deeper breaths to ground ourselves, to mentally prepare ourselves. There will be a lot of plank-like variations, some balancing aspects to this flow. Do what you can where you can. Now on your next breath, reaching our hands up above your head, just taking some side stretches, pulling your arms up and away from yourself to encourage a nice stretch through your waist and your lats zone. Feel free to also, as you shift side to side, to grab onto opposite elbows just with your one hand to encourage a nice stretch throughout your triceps and your shoulders. And now to begin our warm-up, walking out to a plank, then walking back to a Tadasana, that's 1, coming up to 5, taking about 4 to 6 steps with your arms, back out to plank, walking back to a Tadasana, back down to your plank, back to your Tadasana, back down to a plank, back to your Tadasana, and one more, back to your plank. Now from here, shifting over to your right side plank, coming back into the middle, then shifting over to your left side plank, back to the middle, high plank. From here, chaturanga, upward facing dog, keeping the shoulders away from your ears, just taking in a nice deep breath here. Coming back up to your high plank. Now shifting over to your left, lifting up your right leg if you can. It's okay if you lose balance just for a second. Upper waist crunch. Then lifting up your leg again. Middle plank, shifting over to your right. See if you can't lift up your left leg. Then upper waist crunch. Then lift up your same leg again. Come back to middle plank. Chaturanga, upward facing dog. And then from here, laying back down, seeing if you either want to reach your arms behind you, clasping your hands, coming into a shoulder stretch, lifting your chest, feel free to lift your feet, or if you prefer to really cut your arms some slack to preserve strength for the planks we'll be doing, just come into a baby cobra. Then from here, coming back up into your downward dog, just holding for one breath, and then we're going to alternate knees to our chest, then same arm, then the opposite elbow, and then come back to downward dog. So when you're ready, knee to chest, same elbow, opposite elbow, back to downward dog, switch legs. Knee to chest, opposite elbow, same arm, back to downward dog. Knee to chest. Feel free to switch up the direction of opposite elbow to same elbow just to make it interesting. So knee to chest, opposite, same, down dog. Knee to chest, same, opposite, down dog. Coming up to 7 of these at your own pace. So once you've concluded your 7th, come to a high plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog, keeping the shoulders away from your ears. Taking in a nice deep breath. Then coming back to a downward facing dog, and our next exercise we're going to bring our knee to chest but sway past both our elbows back to downward dog. So as you shift forward to a plank, your knee passes both your elbows and back to downward dog. Coming up to 7 of these at your own pace per each breath. Once you reach your 7th, shift your right foot behind your left ankle, a brief plank back to down dog, and then lower your hips looking over your right shoulder, pressing back to a downward dog. If you have a sensitive back, only pause to a plank and then push back up to a downward dog. So lowering your hips and then pushing back up to down dog. Coming down, looking over your right shoulder, pressing it back up, coming up to 5. Once you've finished your 5th, shifting your right foot to the front of your mat, however you see fit getting there. Once you're there, coming all the way up to your warrior 2. Soft bend in the right knee, arms about shoulder height, adjusting where you need to. Just allow yourself to catch your breath. Coming into a peaceful warrior, your left arm reaches anywhere along your left leg. Feel free to bring your right arm behind you, especially if your arm is sick of being up in the air and engaged. But if your arm is fine, leave it up above your head. Sinking low with the hips as much as you can, and then shifting forward, coming to the front of your mat and coming into a standing pigeon on your right side. So left ankle over right knee. Find your balance first, and as soon as you're there, lower down, try to lower through the hips as much as you can. Engage in the core. Now seeing if you can't grab onto your left foot with your right hand, maintaining your balance as much as you can, and once you're confident in the balance, see if you can't extend out to a standing cross, iron cross. Then lower your foot, step all the way back to a downward facing dog. Catching your breath. And then when you're ready, crossing your left foot over your right heel, pressing to a downward dog, and then coming down, looking over your left shoulder, dropping your right hip and then pressing it back to a downward dog, coming back down, looking over your left shoulder, pressing back up to a single downward dog, coming down and coming back up. Of course, if you do have sensitive back, just pause to a plank and then push back up to a downward dog. And come down and back up. And coming down and back up. Now from here, shift your left foot forward to the front of your mat, however you see fit. Coming to your left side, warrior 2. A gentle bend in the left knee, arms about shoulder height. Coming into a peaceful warrior. Right hand reaches anywhere along your right leg. Feel free to fold your left arm behind you. But again, if your arm doesn't mind being up in the air. And then when you're ready, stepping to the front of your mat, coming into a left side standing pigeon, right heel or ankle over left knee, sinking low with the hips, low in the knee, core is engaged, hands can be at a prayer. And then if you can manage it, going left hand to right foot, finding your balance first, and extending out to a standing cross, iron cross. Try to get both legs straight as much as you can, and then lower your foot, step back all the way to a downward dog. You did so good with those balancings, it was not easy. Coming back to a higher plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog. Taking in a nice deep breath. We've got one more upper body strengthening workout exercise posture, whichever you'd like to call it, to go. Lifting back up to the waist, a donkey kick followed by a push-up. So lifting up either one of your legs, come to a Pilates push-up and switch out sides with your legs. We're just coming up to 7 of these, so try to do your absolute best with the push-ups. It's just a gentle kick with the donkey kick side of it, and a bit of a balance challenger for the push-ups. Once you've reached your 7th push-up, widening your knees and coming down to a well-deserved child's pose, we've officially finished the class. Sinking low, try to get your hips to your heels as much as you can, but of course it's completely fine if your butt is a little bit in the air. Feel free to relax through the elbows, and feel free to bring your head to the mat. Then shifting your upper body over to the right side, but still staying in your child's pose. Just to stretch out our left side. And switching out sides, leaning over to your left, maintaining your child's pose. Feeling a nice opening sensation in your right side. And coming back to a centered child's pose. Feel free to keep your elbows relaxed. Maybe you'd even like to bring palms up to the sky. Now gently walking your way up to a hero's pose, making any adjustments with yourself that you need to. Just a couple more deep relaxing breaths, bringing our heart rate down, evening out our breathing. You did so good with the strengthening elements of this 15-minute class. Now from your hero's pose, shifting over to the middle of your mat in an easy seated pose, whatever easy seated pose means to you. Then bringing elbows to knees, hands to Ane Mudra, which is no different to the AOK hand gesture that you make. Taking in a few more deep breaths, just really relaxing yourself, relishing in everything we just did in only a time space of 15 minutes. Now raising your hands up above your head, all that positive energy above yourself, bring it on down to yourself, bowing it out with yourself and thanking yourself so much for being this strong, for being this resilient, building up on your endurance and stamina, and challenging yourself to balancing postures. Thank you all so much for watching and or following. I do appreciate it either way, and I shall see you all for my future videos. Namaste.